What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's get into it, man. Bitcoin is at 64,000. It's just below 63,900, right? I was calling for a move down to about 65K. Here we are, about $1,100 below that. So, that's a little bit lower than what I was thinking. But I did give a little wiggle room in my last video, saying that it could go as low as 62K, right? And right now we're only like 1.7. We're at the low. We're 2% away from where I was calling for it to go. So it's not dramatic, right? But if we were to break below 62K, I would sweat a little bit. Really, I wouldn't like to see us break 62. What is this daily closing high here? I wouldn't like to see us break 62.8K. I mean, we could get down there. We could wick it, but I wouldn't like to see us close below there. Right now, actually, this kind of looks like a broadening top. If we hold the higher low, it kind of looks like a broadening top, actually, like on a 4-hour basis, which is a rather neutral pattern. It can mean, a change of trend or bullish continuation. But let's just see here. It's normally a 5-legged pattern. It's pretty clean. I don't know if that's the high to go from. Maybe it's this one, right? Something like that connects with these highs back here, kind of. I feel comfortable with that. Let's just say it is this. Then it would start from here, right? Because you didn't touch it here. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5-legged pattern. You can break out to the downside on the 6th leg, or you can break out to the upside and be a continuation of that 5th leg up. If this isn't a broadening top pattern, which it might be. It looks like it right now, but if you continue to move down, well, there goes that theory, right? You could move down just a little bit, and then that'd be where you move up, and it's just some kind of ugly looking form of consolidation. I don't expect Bitcoin to move down too much more. Okay, and I'll kind of go over why, right? If you notice, as you've been moving down, your volume has been declining. Generally speaking, if you're moving up, and we can actually see that here, right? You're moving up and your volume's declining. That's not a good thing, right? You'll get some repercussions for that, right? You'll go to lower areas to get some increased volume and get this thing to pump up, right? And that doesn't mean that you're going to get volume down here. Maybe you do. We're getting a little bit, but it's decreasing for sure. But really, this is an opportunity for people to buy. If they're not capitalizing on it as the price moves up, people will be like, oh no, it's moving up, it's done moving down. More and more people buy. People start to FOMO. We're about to break out. We're at new relative highs, and then you get more volume, and that's when you start this upward trend in volume again. Consequently to that, if we break out of this consolidation phase to the downside, you'd probably get that increase of volume as well, but on a selling perspective. So hopefully we don't see that. Hopefully we don't move too much lower. I did not mean to blow up the screen like that. I want to look at the 4-hour RSI. We'll move out to the daily and stuff like that. The 4-hour RSI is disgusting. It looks very bad. We are at an area where it wouldn't be crazy to find support. But I got to be honest, I don't like the 4-hour. Let's look. I said we were going to look further out, but let's look at the 1-hour. The 1-hour, it all looks bad, honestly. But it oftentimes looks its worst before it starts to look better. So who knows? This could mark continuation down. It could mark continuation to the upside. I want to look at the daily. On the daily, we do have the 3 higher lows, or the 2 higher lows. We are kind of at this relative area of resistance here. The day itself, right, here's the focal point of the new day, right? So from here to the tip right here, this part is changing. If the day turns out to be green, instead of it being pointed down like this, the RSI would be pointed up. So really, right here at about 47, that's kind of actually right at this area here that we found resistance, right? Like right there. So if we were to turn this day green, we'd actually be finding support on a previous area of resistance, which I think would look good. It's not a conventional area being right at like 46.27, but conventional in a sense of finding support at previous areas of resistance. I wouldn't be completely surprised if we moved lower, but I am going to call for the low right now. I'm going to call for that personally. I want to look at BTC on the ribbon real quick. Yeah, it's not really giving us much on the daily. With neutral price action like this, consolidation phases, you disrespect the hell out of the ribbon, so I wouldn't go too much on that. 4 hours having a fresh cross down. Weekly still looks fine. Not a whole lot there, nothing that I was looking to see anyways, but I would say that if we move lower, it will probably be insignificant, and we're about to move up. I think that this is the low. If not, we're very, very close to it, and we'll start to move up again. We did find support a couple times on this previous area of resistance. Hopefully, we maintain this kind of megaphone look, this broadening top look, relatively speaking, and then continue going higher. If we do, then perhaps what we're doing right now, is consolidating near the top of this range overall, this broadening wedge pattern, right? This is a greater kind of pattern that we're in right now. The broadening wedge, right? Broadening tops and broadening wedges are similar, but as I've recently found out, actually, a broadening top, this is a broadening wedge, right? They're kind of sloped down, and then one's kind of sloped down. They're both sloped down. A broadening top is one is sloped up, one is sloped down, right? Oh man, which in this case, this would not be a broadening top because they're both sloped upwards. Maybe that is a broadening wedge, but it's like a tilted upwards broadening wedge, huh? There. I know it seems like semantics, right? It seems like it's insignificant, but it is significant to some degree because you get different measure moves and different behaviors on the patterns themselves. But they are pretty similar either way. I think what I said in the beginning stands true, but I wouldn't call it a broadening top actually. Maybe just a broadening wedge, but it's tilted upwards, if that's even a thing. But unless it breaks, then it's just some ugly phase of consolidation. But before I got distracted, what I wanted to say was, being that this is our first time with this line here, it began, second time at this line here, third, fourth, fifth time in this area, and that we've only had 1, 2, 3 interactions with the low point here, I would assume we are closer to breaking this line than we are to breaking this line. And it's not just because we're closer to it. Generally speaking, when you're in a long phase of consolidation, not even that long, but a phase of consolidation like this, consolidating below the point that you're about to break out, it's very common, right? So I think that's just what we're doing right now. We're just biding our time. Bitcoin's not broken, you guys. We had the Bitcoin conference. A lot of people expected it to be bullish. I think there were a lot of bullish things that were discussed in the Bitcoin conference. Some people found it lackluster, whatever, to each their own. But I definitely thought that there was some things to get excited about. And the truth of the matter is, it's not as exciting when it happens as it is imagining and fantasizing about it happening. So we got the buy the hype, sell the news event, very classic maneuver. We're selling off right now. People are probably panicking. I wonder what the sentiment is right now. Shout out to the Bitcoin Cash podcast. Crypto, fear and greed. Neutral, right? Neutral, and we have higher lows, but neutral. That's not too bad. Sentiment's dropped a little bit, but I would bet that we're going to move up soon. So all this long ramble to say, I do think that we're going to move up. I think that we're at our low, if not very near it. I would love it if we held the 62.8K area. If not, 62K would do, but I wouldn't like to see us get below there. Because then Bitcoin might be broken, guys, and we might be in trouble as a whole in the markets. But you never know. Sometimes it's when we break those key areas and it looks broken and it's at its worst. That's when we finally get our pump. Sometimes you need this little psych across the board to get people to capitulate in the wrong direction, and then we move up. I certainly won't be selling any of my cryptos if we move down. I'll be looking to buy more. I'll take it for the gift that it is, which is an opportunity to buy things at a cheaper price. And unfortunately, all it means is we're just not pumping right now. But counter to that, I do believe that we're about to pump. I do believe that we are consolidating below the trend line. I believe that we are about to break out of this pattern and ultimately send ourselves up to that $100,000 target area. If not a little bit below it. The technical measure moves would be 80.6K to $90,100. But the reason why, and this is normally what I would look for, I wouldn't be surprised if we found some significance in this area, but the reason why I don't think that's going to be our top of this next move, and I think that we are going to go for that $100,000 target by the end of the year, is because that's what we've done the last 2 times that we've consolidated. From a high point to a low point here, we moved up to our 2618, 2272, not the 1618, 1272. We kind of consolidated around this area, but ultimately our next move up before we really consolidated was up at the 2272, 2618 area, specifically the 2618. The next high to low of that consolidation here, we moved right up to the 2618 several times, right? And again, not the 1272 or the 1618. We stopped here for a brief moment and then just continued upwards. One up there and then down here. Again, the expected area normally would be 80,600 to 90,000, but based off of what we've been doing this whole bull cycle, I feel very confident in saying that 100,000 to 124,000, maybe even 125, maybe even a little bit above that is where we're going to go. If we look at the overall cycle high from the last cycle to the cycle low that we had in the bear cycle, come on now. The overall bear cycle fib retracement there. If we look at the extensions, right, the minimum extension, the 1272, would be at 103,000. The 1414, which a lot of cryptos have actually been doing this maneuver where they will pierce just above the 1414 and then they find resistance there and then they move down. That's very close to your 2618 over here. 124, 130, something like that could be the case. If I delete this fib, this more short-term fib, leave on the larger one, it's very common to find support under 886 before moving up here. Most of the time, I feel like I see us, maybe not even most of the time, I don't know, it can be 50-50, but a good bit of the time you move up to your extended area first, and then you pull back to this area, and then you move higher. But consolidating on the 886 like this is, to me, just a foretelling, a forecasting, a foreshadowing of this target area being achieved. And yes, this whole area is the next target area. It would make the most sense, in my opinion, to stop around here between 103 to 128,000. But absolutely, we might be making a beeline to 173K by the end of the year, if not sometime in the beginning of next year. But that's all I got to say, guys. I've hit my limit, I think, on time actually for tonight, so I'm actually over time, but that's okay. And really, this does just look like a bull flag, right? It looks like a bull flag if we take it for what it is. And actually, let me get a better line on there. Try to draw it a little bit more perfect. Not that it's going to be perfect, but hey, that wasn't bad. To get it from a time perspective too. The measure move there would take us literally by the second week of January, we'd be up at 160. That'd be very close to that 1618. So yeah. And this whole move up, it was not straight. I drew a straight line, but you consolidated for a couple months here. It's probably not going to be a straight line up, but more or less, I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if we're moving deep into that $100,000 territory. Once we break out of this, and we might be doing that now, we might be consolidating right below this trend line and just getting ready to do that. So hopefully we hold the line. Hopefully we pivot on this RSI right at this previous area of resistance and start to move up, an area that it looks like we found support on a couple times before even. That's all I got to say. If you like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm calling for the low. We're moving up from here. Bye-bye.